Hey everyone, I'm Gracie. Welcome to the Grace of a Military Child podcast. The world should know how unique military children are. We may look like normal children on the outside, but we go through some pretty extraordinary circumstances that shape us to the leaders we are today. Keep listening to hear the incredible journey this week's guest has been on. Hi, Lacey. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell me a little bit kind of about your military experience and your military background.
So I served in the United States Marine Corps. I was an E5. I was a sergeant, a military police officer, and I did 5 years active duty and then 3 years on the back end of inactive reserve. I have a family. I have a daughter while I was in the military, a husband, a military spouse on the husband side. So that's a little different. You know, you have a lot of military spouse wives, but, you know, having a military spouse husband, it was, all the time, thank you for your service to my husband.
Right.
So it was an incredible experience. Definitely the military taught me traits that I use every single day, not only as a WWE wrestler, but as a mother and as a human being, and the motivation. So I wouldn't change it for the world, and I miss it every single day.
Yeah. So what kind of made you take the transition out of the military from the Marines to the wrestling world?
Well, as you know, as a military child, it's difficult. It's difficult in any career, but military, especially in my opinion, knowing both sides, to raise a family, to have a marriage in the military. I loved it to death, but my upbringing as a child, with drug addiction, depression, and mental health, when WWE offered me a chance to even do a tryout, to even get an opportunity that big, much less get a contract, the minute that was offered to me, I knew right then that my platform and my ability to impact the world on a larger scale was going to it was going to happen. And with depression, mental health, addiction, all that, and what I had to say about the subject, coming from personal experience, motivated me to, it was as if, in my opinion, God was giving me an opportunity to help people and on a much larger scale. I think that anybody who signs a contract with the military, they do it selflessly, because they know what they're giving. They know the schedule is going to be hard. You're defending our country. You're going to stand up for what's right. So I already had a motivation to not just change the world, but help people. And I did that in the military as a military police officer, but I wasn't making an impact that I thought I could make on such a large scale like I could and like I do with WWE. Just being a voice alone, social media alone, to show the world that it doesn't matter where you come from, what you've been through. You can do anything you want in life. You could become anybody that you want to become. It doesn't matter the drugs. It doesn't matter the addiction, the depression, the violence, your upbringing. You can break the cycle. And that's what I did. And that's what I knew I could portray as a WWE sports entertainer.
Yeah. And, you have that huge platform where you can reach just about the entire world at your fingertips that you wouldn't have had if you were, still in the Marines, still serving. Obviously you have a different platform in a different capacity, but with wrestling and WWE, you can get the message out to everyone to break the cycle, to keep going when the times are hard and things like that.
Right. And that's what motivates me. There's a saying like, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Mm-hmm. And yes, WWE is hard. Yes, the Marine Corps is hard. But I have that passion that every day, I know every post I make, every time I'm on TV, I can reach out to the youth. I could reach out to parents that maybe when they hear my story, because, life is hard. And I'm a prime example of a cycle that's been broken. Every single day I work on it. I work on myself, my mental health, my goals, my life, my family. And I do not let what I've been through or where I come from dictate who the hell I'm going to become and what day I'm going to have today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a struggle for a lot of people.
Yeah. And, when you're in that moment, it seems so powerful, and like whatever emotions you're feeling, whatever's going on, it seems so powerful that it just takes over. And then, in the back end of it, you're looking like, oh, it wasn't really that big of a deal. Like, I could have got up and moved on. Like, I didn't have to dwell in the moment. I didn't have to, have as bad as a day that I actually did because of how I was feeling.
Right. And it's too late by then. It's
right.
like and it's easier said than done. Don't get me wrong. I'm not perfect. I have some days where I don't just jump up, throw on a little makeup, grab a coffee and kick ass and take names.
Mm-hmm.
There are days that I don't make it out of the bathroom without having to wash my face twice because of my tears. And so I do want that to be known, because mental health is hard. Life is hard. And so I'm not, you see all this motivation and she's a WWE superstar, but no, I'm a human being, and there are days that I struggle. And like you said, you look on the back end and you realize, like, damn, I just lost 24 hours of my life. And I sat there and wallered in my self-pity or whatever it is that that's bothering you. It could be bills. It could be your children. As a mother, it could be a child of a military, in the military whose father or mother is deployed and gone. And here you are just like, but those days are important too. Those days of just crying about it and acknowledging it, and working from there are important too, because it gives you, more strength and helps you release some of that stress and that sadness. So, it's both ways, cry about it, but also wash your face and grab the coffee and let's rock and roll. Let's push past this, like you said.
Yeah. When Dad deployed, I was literally on the couch for a week crying my eyes out. Like, it was that bad. And I am completely a daddy's girl, like always have been, always will be. Before I was even born, my mom said she remembers that I was not very active, but then when Dad would come around, she'd feel me flipping and tossing and turning, and just because I knew he was around. Mm-hmm. But then, when he deployed, when he'd go to work, when he'd go for training, because he was reserve, so he wasn't always gone all the time. Whenever that would happen, those would be my days of I'm just out of it. I'd spend days in the guidance counselor's office at school because I couldn't focus on school, and school, has been is my life. Mm-hmm. Like, I love school. I live and breathe school. But because of that struggle, I did not live and breathe school during those days. And right. So Mom, she was just so annoyed with me. Like, she was like, okay, I know he's gone. I know, but we can't do this for the next 400 days. She's right. Like, you got to pick yourself up and keep going, because if you're going to do this for 400 days, I don't know how we're going to get through it. Right.
No, that's a good mom though, too, to realize mm-hmm. that. And you mentioned something, and you said counseling, like that's mm-hmm. so important. People don't realize, like, to even acknowledge that you got a problem. And now you were a child, so like that's right. That's a little different, but your mom stepping in and ensuring that you got that, that's parents need to be aware of their children's sadnesses or mental health and work on that just as much as they need to work on their self-care. And that's another thing. It's like, some people think selfishly of parents who put themselves first in certain capacities, but it's important. And I've said this before. It's like, you cannot fill somebody's cup, your children's cup, if your cup is empty.
Yeah.
You can't do it. So your mom, and I've met her, and that's a badass, excuse my French, but there's not very many women who motivate me in certain ways, because I've had a very rough, but your mom is one of them. So I can imagine her seeing your pain and saying, no, not only mm-hmm. get up, but we're going to go to counseling. We are going to do everything we can to fix this. And that's what the world needs more of, is women like your mom. and women like you who have a platform and use this to help military families, military children, people that are going through certain things, good, bad, and in the middle. This is what life's about, is getting up when you don't want to, when you feel you can't.
Yeah. And, even like, it's still hard. And like, we are out of the military. Like, Dad's been retired for, I think, 8 years now. June will be 8 years, but it's still hard. Like, you still live that military life. You're still in the family. You're still connected to it. And that never leaves.
Right.
As much as you think, you can just like kind of drop the military life when you retire, like as much as it may seem like that, it doesn't. You're still connected. That is still your family. That's still your brotherhood, your sisterhood. That's basically all the family I have, because I don't really have extended family. We don't talk to them. So it's basically just a military family.
Yeah. And people don't realize that either. I mean, you guys have, the military, obviously, your brothers and sisters in arms, like that's one camaraderie thing. But like, as you said, that's your family on your extended family, because guess what? Y'all moved around so much. You don't get stationed back at home with Meemaw and Pawpaw. I'm sorry. That's just not the life and then with you having to move around in different schools, or your mom, different jobs. Like, they don't realize the impact, the long-term impact that it has, not only on your mental health, but your life. Like, you gain different families, and they become your support system. They become your family. And then the sadness that comes with it there. I mean, you lost your father essentially for a whole over a year, in your mind, in your baby brain. That stuff that doesn't change. It doesn't just go away when he comes back. You mentally had to. So there's programs that are set in place that, like me and your mom talk, that should be better and should be more highlighted a lot of times in the military, even when you get out as veterans, that there's not. And they, there are good programs, but then on the other side, there aren't good enough programs, but that's where people like you and your podcast come in, where you can highlight and bring it to light and hear these stories where people can connect and, what's the word when we can relate to each other? I can relate to you as because I had a military child, but then I can also relate to your father, like, and then we can connect and be there for each other. And like I said, that's what the world needs. That's what it's about. But it's hard. They don't see both sides. They hear military family and they, military brat or veteran, but they don't realize the extent of it, and then, I mean, in your father now, what he's been through, because I got the blessing of getting to meet your family on a more personal level, and what he's done for our country and the man that he still is today, even though what he's been through, and having a daughter like you, like, they don't know what's left with your family. They don't see those nights behind closed doors and what you guys still struggle with. And that's what this podcast is helping people realize, is like, it continues, it goes on, but we fight through it. We keep pushing. We get our heads up. Like your mom told you, get your butt off the bed and let's march forward. And that's what, it's awesome.
Yeah, because if you have those days where, every day is a struggle, and there's no hiding that, every day is a struggle, no matter, what life you're living, there's some sort of a struggle in every day. But if you realize the struggle over the good things that are happening, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to keep moving forward. You're going to be stuck in the past. You're going to be stuck in the moment, and you can't do that.
No, it's funny that you said that, because, I've started to work on affirmations and like, realizing your blessings. And before I even get out of bed. So today I posted a photo. I looked to my left. I had a cup of coffee and on my bed, and I looked to my left, and both of my girls were sleeping. And I did a post about, like in my mind, mentally thinking of just a handful of blessings, 3 to 5 things that normally, not big things, not, my house or a roof over my head, or, stuff like my property, just the small things like my health, You know what I mean? I was sitting there and I have allergies. It's so funny. It's something so small, but it's like important. Just like you said, it's like, don't dwell on the negative. There's negative every day, everywhere. Like I'm sitting in my daughter's room right now. It was just because I just had to feed my baby. And like, so I needed to be close. So I was like, you know what, Summer, I'm just going to run to your room and we're going to knock this podcast out. And because I've got 10 things going on right now, but just my allergies, you know, and I'm like, you know what? I have allergies sitting here with my cup of coffee, watching my baby sleep, but like, it could be so much worse. Like I am blessed for these allergies right now. Like I'm blessed. Like, and my eyes were all like, it sneezes and it's a runny nose and, you know, but I'm looking to my left and like my lungs, like with the COVID going on and like, everything people struggle with right now. I'm right now in this moment, I'm going to realize when I take this snotty breath that I can breathe, that I can fill my lungs with air and I can freaking breathe. And that is a blessing. Okay. And I started with that one. And then I looked down at my cup of coffee and I've got a fresh cup of coffee. I can wake up and I can make myself a cup of coffee. I am thankful for that. You know, and then I look over at my girls and, you know, and that's how I started my day today. But if we did that more often, and I get chills thinking about it, because like my day just started, like I was excited to do this podcast. But if we think of little things like that, imagine the people we would become or the day or the life we would have and create for ourselves.
Yeah. It's crazy that just thinking, you know, allergies suck. There's no way of hiding that they suck. But, you know, thinking about it, like you were saying, it could be so much worse. Like you could, you know, be someone who has COVID, who is struggling to breathe right now, but you have allergies. And so that's so little, so minute. And it's like, okay, let's go. Like, you know, let's not think here for 20 minutes of how bad my allergies are and how much they suck. Let's just keep going.
Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely, you know, and that's the way you have to kind of look at even the military life of, you know, moving or, you know, saying goodbye to a loved one. It's there for a second. And then, you know, you have to figure out how to adapt to your new situations, whether that be, you know, a household -1 or, you know, a new environment, a new base, a new post, whatever it may be. You have to figure out how to adapt to it.
I was actually going to ask you, and that's true. Definitely adapting and overcoming no matter what your situation. With the military, obviously, you said -1, obviously your father, you know, growing up, because you're in school right now, which I follow stuff. I'm very, would you say, so for me growing up with addiction and depression and mental health stuff, I connected to school. Like I attached myself to school from a very, very young age, to school and sports. That was kind of like that you're -1, what you were going through, the tears on the couch. For me, they were different. My tears were different, but like that helped me. So no matter what I was going through, school was like my out. School was my alter ego, you know, like, so I could just forget about what I'm dealing with at home. I could forget about what's going on in my life and I would just dump myself, which made me successful as hell. If it wasn't for the fact that in my lowest moments, if I didn't dump myself in wrestling, amateur wrestling in high school, education, I wouldn't have a bachelor's degree. I probably wouldn't be in WWE. I probably wouldn't have been honor graduate out of military police, the Marine Corps. You know what I'm saying? So like, what was your go-to? Well, has it always been school because of as a military brat, being in a military family? Like what helped you in those moments of, other than counseling? Obviously you and I are both big on getting help, speaking up, acknowledging it and finding help instead of sitting with it. But what, like, has it always been school? Was there anything else as a military child that you used to your advantage to help you get through that?
So, okay, when dad had a 7-year break in service. So most of my childhood was kind of still spent up in Ohio. I was there till I was 9. And so up there, it was strictly like I loved school. Like I would come home from school and Kaylee, my little sister, and I would just play. And I'd be like, okay, I want to play school and I want to be the teacher. Like that's what we would do for fun. Like we would play school. I would be the teacher. Like she'd always ask to be the teacher. And I'd be like, no, I'm going to be the teacher. I know more than you do. Like I can teach you more. Like
I'm the oldest.
Yeah. So that's what we would do when we come home. And then in Texas, it was pretty much school too. Like that's what kept me going. That's still what keeps me going today. But sports keep me going. I don't play sports, but I watch sports. Mm-hmm. And so that keeps me going too. Like when I'm having a bad day, like so on Thursday, I was at school and I was in the parking garage and I backed up and I hit one of the cars behind me. And so I was so mad. It was a bad day. So I come home. This actually brings a lot into of what I do when I'm having a bad day. But so I backed up, I hit this car. I was on the phone with mom and I had never really sworn in front of my parents before. And all I do is go, shit. And she was like, what just happened? And she's like, I didn't even have time to like be like, start kind of, poking fun at you because you just swore.
Right.
But I was like, I just hit this car behind me. So we dealt with that. And then I came home. And what I did is I took a shower because that helps calm me down a lot.
Good. Yes.
Yes. So I took a shower. My new boyfriend is in town right now and he's a Marine actually. So he will be going back to Japan in a couple days. So he came over. We went and got Legos and we built Legos. Mm-hmm. And my mom was like, you need to watch wrestling because that's what I do is, because I obviously did not want to be doing school at this time. I had just spent all day at school and I was not into it. I did a little school, but I built Legos, watched, I don't think I put wrestling on that day because Kaylee didn't want to watch it. But when those are my bad days. Yeah. Like those are what I run to. Like I take a shower, I build Legos, I watch sports, mainly wrestling because, it's a little easier to get your anger out when you're watching wrestling than watching like football or something. So
and when you're actually wrestling.
I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. But school has always been my outlet because you have this, you have your syllabus in front of you. You have to get this done by this day. You have to get this done by this day. And I am not one to submit things late. I try my hardest not to. I've probably only submitted less than 10 things late in my probably almost 3 years of college now. So, you have to cross those things off. You have to get them done. You have to. And so if you don't get them done, then what are you going to do? You're going to get
so behind. Fall back. You're in mentally life's already hard enough, honey. Let's make a plan and let's start checking those boxes off. I completely agree.
Yeah. And, if you don't have that, then sometimes I have to make a to-do list of things to do. Mm-hmm. And as I go, I just check it off and that's what I do. And that's what keeps me sane. Because if I don't, then I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I don't know what my life would be like without, just those little things that, just keeping a schedule, keeping a tracking list of things to do, crossing things off. Like that's seriously that organization, that motivation is what keeps me going.
And it's funny that you mentioned that. I'm huge on planners.
Yep.
Calendar.
Mine is right here.
Yes. I have probably 3 or 4 at this point because my life is so all over the place. But I have them and it's, people, I feel like, and this is just my opinion, I have no scientific, nothing I could back it up with other than my own success. And not just financially, not just career wise. I'm talking mentally, mental health wise, is knowing your go-tos. Mm-hmm. You named 3 or 4 right off the bat, but when you know what helps you mentally, physically, emotionally, across the board, it helps because you already know you're not going to turn to drugs or alcohol or depression or clamming up or shutting out. Okay, look, It's one of those days I hit a car, I'm late on bills, I have this, whatever's going on in your life. And okay, this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
Grab the Legos, take the shower, grab the coffee, go to the gym, whatever it is, you already know. So you're already one step ahead of this hard as hell life, in my opinion.
Yeah. And even if you have to like write those things down, like when you're having a good day, sit down and write those things down on like a piece of paper and stick it on your fridge or your bulletin board or whatever. So when you're having those bad days, when you're in, a bad mood, you can just look and see, oh, I can do this right now. And sometimes, Legos are expensive. Like, let's be real, they're expensive.
Yeah.
So I can't always go out and buy Legos. And so like, then you go the next thing. Okay, well, I can go and turn on the TV and watch wrestling or watch whatever it may be for someone. And, that's free. Like you can do that.
Yep. No excuse.
Yeah.
That's something that now that I'm a WWE superstar, I can't tell you how many times it must be nice. It must be nice. Not everybody can do. Well, let me tell you something. Before I was even a WWE superstar, before I was a Marine, I was in the trailer park, regular old kid living in a tent, whatever the case, with an addict father, my mom not there. And I still got up. I still wrote down my goals. I still went on my runs. There's no excuse. Everybody can figure out what helps them at their lowest. It does not, like you said, you may not have the money to go out and buy the Legos or have the gym membership, but I can't tell you how many times, even in WWE, I would go out and grab a center block, a bucket, go on a run, do what I have to do to get a workout in to feel better about myself and what I'm going through. Poor, pitiful me. Yes. I take it in. I acknowledge it. I accept it. I feel it. I wipe the tears. I let them fall, but I still get up. So like you said, you can do something. You could figure it out and still make it work, no matter what position you're in.
Yeah. No matter how big your struggle is, like it may take a couple of days to get over, but once you're over it, then you can keep moving. You can keep going.
Yes.
Yeah. Because if you don't keep going, then you're going to be there for, until you decide you can't do it anymore and you have to keep going.
Right.
And for some people, that's the rest of their lives.
Until they die. It'll kill you. It will kill you.
Yeah. And there's so many people that you see nowadays that, especially even veterans too. And it's so sad.
And they lose the fight. They lose, PTSD is huge. And it's another, it's not just veteran. There are civilians, human beings that go through post-traumatic stress. Mm-hmm. It's literally after something that's shitty has happened in your life, you know what I mean? After. Yeah. That could happen to anybody. People go through so much in life. And I think that people fail to realize that, they hear PTSD and they automatically assume military. Mm-hmm. Well, it's not just military. It's, there's a lot of people that go through a lot of things, but you need to acknowledge it. And like you said, it's sad. And it literally, people lose the battle every single day, especially right now with the pandemic, which is another reason why I love this podcast so much, because we need this. We need this substance right now. We need this information that you cover, because it's not worth your life. Your deepest times, and I'll use your father as an example. He made it. Yeah. And he didn't leave his kids behind. Unfortunately for my father, that wasn't the case. It beat him. The depression, the addiction, the PTSD, it won. And he lost that battle and he's dead. And he left 7 children on their knees crying. And we will never get him back. But he gave up. He lost the battle. And in part of my anger, which I'm still not, now he's left with kids. We're stuck to have to figure it out on our own, not just figure out life. We can't call daddy. I'm not talking about that. We're left to figure out the pain. There's so many questions unanswered, without tearing up, but why is your dad can go through what he went through? He can't even walk. He cannot stand up to his feet and look you in the eye. And yet he's still here for his girls. Why the hell couldn't my dad push through what he was going through? And he had 2 feet he could stand on, but he still. So part of my anger, and that's not right for me to think like that. That's because, there's demons in my dad's closet that were, but it still makes me so angry that I'm now without my father. Why couldn't my dad be as strong as your father was? Why, but there's so many unanswered questions but I'm left with a broken heart because of it. And every day I have to push through and tell the world that you hurt more people than just yourself. And there's nothing you can't get past. And if he would have just pushed past that moment of what he was feeling and stayed alive one more day, there's no telling the man he could have been, the women his children could have been. And now it is what it is. And we struggle with it every day, but we got to keep going.
That's one thing like my mom always says is, especially when Kaylee and I got a little older, she kept telling us, we'd see people just kill themselves because they can't take it anymore. And she'd look at us and be like, you cannot think like that. And if you do, you need to call someone, and you have a list of people in your phone that if you don't want to talk to me or your dad, you can call other people and be like, hey, I just need to talk. And that's what you have to do. And, sometimes it's calling a stranger, like, going up to like some stranger in a coffee shop or something. Like someone is going to listen to you. Someone is going to be there for you. And you have to push through.
Mm-hmm. There's 1-800 numbers out there too. Also that you should probably have that at the bottom of the screen. Like,
right.
Veteran numbers, civilian numbers, like reach out and touch somebody. Your dad will know what that means.
You have to, you have to keep pushing through those struggles. And no matter what lifestyle you live, you have to do it.
Right.
Yeah. It's hard, but you have to do it. And once you get past it, you'll realize at the end of the rainbow, like, there is a pot of gold. Like we just came up on Dad's 10-year of when he got hurt back in November. And it's a whole new world from what we started with. And It's insane to think of how 10 years has gone by so far.
Or what would have happened, not to tag on the negative, but like, that's one of those moments, like 10 years, man, if I would have let myself be in that negative position, where would I be? And it wouldn't be where he was or where he is. His girls wouldn't be who they are. His wife wouldn't be who she, you know what I'm saying? So it's, like you said, there's a rainbow, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to get to the end of it.
Yeah. And once you get there, you'll realize that it was all worth it. Mm-hmm. That struggle, those challenges, it was worth it.
100%.
Yeah. What is it like, now having the platform that you have? What are you doing to help get that message out there of, you can do it, you can keep going? We see it in your character on TV and like seeing that motivation, through your character. But what is it like on the outside, kind of trying to push through and push that message out?
It's a little hard just because like sometimes I play a bad guy on TV. So it doesn't it doesn't connect well. Like one minute I'm saying, you nasties, and I'm beating people up for no reason. The next minute I'm telling the people we can do it. But my passion is to help people. And so, my social media, I feel like a lot of people take social media nowadays, how they shouldn't. It could be such a terrible place, but also an amazing place. So I try to ensure that the posts that I make are raw and real. And I try to do more positive than negative. So yes, I've been through a lot. Yes, some days I am in the bathroom crying and need to physically be picked up. But I don't really post those often. And not because I hide it, not because, I don't want the world to know. It's because they need more positive. every day, you see negative, you see fights in Walmart, you see suicides, you see all, but what about the good? What about like my morning post today, the affirmations, the, just little reminders, because, my platform, like you said, is huge. And I try to use that to when people see, when they're scrolling with their morning cup of coffee and they stumble upon my post, it's not going to be, was in the bathroom crying again today. No, it's going to be what I did to push through that. You know what I mean? Because yeah, they can relate to crying in the bathroom. They could be sad and like everybody knows, but man, that I'm going to do that. I'm going to step outside and take those 3 deep breaths Lacey Evans took today, and I'm going to push through. And so that's kind of like my mindset of being a WWE superstar, having the platform that I do. And regardless if I'm good or bad on TV, I'm going to remind the world that we can do it, that you can do it, and try to keep my social media real, even down to your body. Nothing's perfect in this world, nothing. And give me some spray tan, 10 pounds of makeup, honey, and I could look like the best. That ain't life. That ain't how people look. And I think it's important. And my opinion is that people like myself that have this platform, I think that we have a responsibility and a duty to help our youth and to help the world know those things. So I see a lot of accounts that, they portray this false sense of what life is. And I'll never do that. I will never, make my social media photoshopped it, which is fine. I'm not knocking anybody who does it, but me personally, I'm not photoshopping anything. Photoshop, right? Yeah. I'm not, I might put a very small filter on, like, to show because I don't, if I'm not tanned, to show my progress, because there is a muscle there. I'm just so white that you can't see, but I'm not going to make anything fake. I show the world how it is. I mean, while I was pregnant, after I had the baby, my body, my journey, the hard work I put in, like, and the goods and the bads, because nobody's body's perfect. And we all got to work every day for something. You just got to get up and keep doing it.
Yeah. And you even mentioned your pregnancy, like that's a journey in itself. You go through so many physical changes, so many even mental changes that, I'm sure one day I'll experience, but like you documented that so well, and you still do that journey back to, where you were before you had Sunny. And it's an incredible change to see. And not many people realize that it is a struggle to get back to where you were before you had a child.
Yeah. And that's another thing, like people I know I've been blessed with my pregnancy, but I've also worked, 9 months, worked out every day.
Yeah.
So, cause I don't come from, my genes aren't the best. Like my parents are bigger and my dad was big, and I had gestational diabetes. I had low thyroid. So that's something that I struggled with. I had to make sure to eat right. I had to, and those were hard days. There were days I was literally crying about my food, because a pregnant woman can go sit with a tub of ice cream and a Big Mac and be like, oh, this is, diabetes. You can't do that. Low thyroid, like it just, so it was hard. And but like you said, it's something that I struggled with, but you can make excuses all day long. Or you can get up, eat the damn salad, drink the water, and make sure to go out and go on a walk. Even though you're gaining weight, it's part of the journey, part of the process. But I just stayed busy, and I made sure to stay healthy and show the world that, yeah, my comeback is going to be just as strong as my body was when I was getting pregnant. I stayed working out, and it was hard, but I showed the world that you could do it. You can do anything you set your mind to.
Yeah. And it's not easy, in a world where you're not an athlete, you can have a child and you can go back to work fairly quickly. Mm-hmm. That's one thing. But when you're an athlete, it takes so much longer. And you see that in the sports world. It takes so much longer to come back after you have a child. It takes so much more work and dedication and effort to be back to where you once were.
Women, I'm not saying men don't go through it, but let me tell you, as an athlete and as a woman, it's one of the hardest things that I've had to do, because in the military, there's plenty of jobs that you could do while pregnant. You could still make a difference. You could still hold it down. You could still do what you need to do. An athlete, you're done. As a WWE wrestler, they're very, very protective of their talent. So the minute, that was it. No more TV, no more, they had to protect and make sure. And they're very good at that, very supportive. But as a woman, it was very hard for me to swallow, because if you're a man and you're having a baby, you could still go to TV. Going. You could still go and have the match. I have to wait. And then once I have the baby, I still have to wait. I still have to, and that was hard, but it's part of being, I'm the mommy, I'm the woman. But I'm getting back at it and working every day. It's what we got to do.
Yeah. And it seemed like you were at a really good spot in your career too. Really good spot before you left.
Yeah. I was just going to say, before I left.
Yeah.
I was right there. I could taste the title, I could smell it. But it's part of being not only a woman, but being a mom. It's part of being a wife. I've been with my husband since I was 15 years old, and he is the best daddy in the world, and he deserves to be a dad. And, we've always wanted another child. I just couldn't, because I'm a woman and I'm an athlete, and I was in the military like you. So it was hard, but they were very, very supportive. WWE, incredible company. They were, they let me be a mom. They let me be a wife, and they let me become another mother. And it's been incredible. I can't wait to get back though.
I know, we can't wait to see you back.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's going to be an exciting day when we hear that music hit again.
Thank you.
Yes. What is it kind of like, most people kind of grow up watching, wrestling, watching, these people, they're so motivated by these people, like kind of, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. And, in my generation, like you, Becky Lynch, those people are just so motivational to, average people. And so what is it like kind of getting there and then meeting these people and being like, you were so motivational? Like, did you watch wrestling as a kid, and were you able to kind of see that?
No. And I think that worked in my favor a little bit. But then also there's been, a lot of negatives being in the game and not. I wasn't a fan. I didn't grow up watching it. I had, like I said, a very rough upbringing. I was working, starting at 14, struggling with my family's addiction. And so my life was way different than your average child's. I wasn't on grandmommy's, carpet watching wrestling on Sundays, or all these stories that you hear, and that's when I felt like I didn't have that life. So mine was the polar opposite. I didn't have time to watch that, much less, get into, I didn't even have time to really watch TV. I was trying to work my way out of such a terrible lifestyle and life at a very young age. So the negative side of that is, so I had to learn from scratch. I had to learn what a WWE star was. I had to learn what wrestling was, what sports entertainment was. And it was very scary. I knew I knew confidence. I knew how to come from the bottom and work my ass off to learn what I needed to learn. And I knew that nothing was going to break me. I've been broken so much in my life that now that the older I got, I was numb to everything. And so I had that to my advantage. You can't break me. I don't care if I don't know how to do everything that you're telling me. I will go out there and I will do my damn best, and I'll come back again and again and again. So I didn't have that. But when I seen them, they're just larger than life characters and people and backstage. And so it's been incredible to learn the business, but also see they are some of the most hardworking people I've ever met in my life. As you know, we travel over 300 days a year. We juggle families, we juggle working out and our bodies and our flexibility and our strength and our acting and there's so much that we have to juggle and so little days to do it in because we're always on the go. We're living out of suitcases and getting to see these people that like you saw growing up and getting to watch them live this life and go out there and be these larger than life characters. It's incredible. But to see the backstage, because they are these larger than life characters, even backstage, they are just incredible. I mean, what y'all don't get to see is the 5 a.m. workouts that they do. They don't just walk, they don't just show up to Raw and perform for the fans. No, they wake up early. They put in the work. They eat right. They push themselves. They drive. It's so much more than what people think. And I get to see it firsthand and get to be one of them. So it's incredible when we get the support from the fans on the back end because it makes it all worth it.
Yeah. And, you've mentioned so many different aspects of your life. And, even with wrestling, there's so many different, the travel, the early mornings, the workouts, things like that. How does the military life that you once lived and, still in an aspect do live, how does that tie into, everything you've been through?
The military, and if you listen, like in WWE, I'm billed from Parris Island, and that's where I went to boot camp because my father did construction, and with being an addict and, that lifestyle, you move around a lot. So I really didn't have a place that I lived long enough to feel like it was home. And the minute I became a United States Marine, or the minute I became a United States Marine, I felt like that's when I became who I am, and that's where I'm from, because it has taught me so much. The traits, the dependability, the initiative, the integrity, the motivation, the drive, the adaptability. I mean, when you go to boot camp in the military, in the Marine Corps, and you go there for 3 months, they completely break you down. They, and they build you back up to be this confident, hard charging motivator. And and I ended up just living in Parris Island in Beaufort because that was, that's where I'm from. That's where I'm going to have my children. That's where I'm going to build my family. That's where I'm going to break the cycle. And that's where I'm going to be built from. Because the minute I became a United States Marine, that's who I am. Because they made me the woman I am today. Because before then at 19, I came from the addiction, the depression, the mental health issues. And once I joined the military, that's where I decided, no, I'm going to build myself back up with the military's help to be a motivated woman that can push forward. And so I use that now in WWE, where, we got 3 a.m. wake up calls, 5 a.m. flights. I still have to push myself to work out. I still have to homeschool my daughter. I still have to pack my bags. I still have to be ready to go. The military gave me that discipline. Like literally, I went from United States Marine Corps, working out through 0-3 wake up, 0-4 formations, run, swim runs, the smell of dirt, the achy body from being outside in the cold at position of attention to, okay, let's pack another bag because WWE is calling my name and I got a flight at 05 and I've got a match tonight. So let's go. And they gave me the discipline and the drive, I think, and the dedication and knowing that feeling of being able to adapt no matter what you're put through, no matter how many fans are out there, no matter live media days. It's like, all right, Marine, let's go. And so I've been able to do just that in WWE.
Yeah. And, you take your family along with you most of the times, right?
Absolutely.
So
I'm a mom first and foremost. I'm a wife second, and then I'm a sports entertainer. And they come with me almost every single time. But it's because they're my why. They're the reason why I do what I do anyway. So what good is it without them? Yeah. My family is everything to me. And I struggled juggling being a mom and being a WWE superstar. But I'm a mother first, and my babies come first. So yes, they when I pack my bags, I pack their diapers and their school books too, because I'm a mother.
And that's really important too. And, it's not necessarily the military life of, moving and growing up with the military surrounding you. But WWE in a sense, shows that as well. And, you're moving. There's so many moving pieces. There's, those flights, those early mornings. And, you have to teach your kids to adapt to that and to, even the military life, you have to figure it out as you go. It's not, you can't just read a little book saying this is how your life is going to go. This is what you're going to do. You have to be able to adapt as you go.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time today, but thank you so much for being on and sharing and just talking. And, I've enjoyed talking to you again because, I loved hanging out with you that one day.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Keep doing this because this is awesome.
Thank you.
All righty. Have a good one. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you.